Time with family. Staying active. Doing what you love. We understand how important it is to live your best life, even as times are changing. At Holzer, we strive to help every patient achieve their best health during every stage of life. With more options for care through in-person and virtual visits, we are dedicated to providing you with excellent care every time. Live your best life with Holzer. Time with family. Staying active. Doing what you love. We understand how important it is to live your best life, even as times are changing. At Holzer, we strive to help every patient achieve.
Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Talk of the Town podcast. I'm Josh Wellington, the Executive Director of the Gay County Chamber of Commerce. And this podcast is brought to you by Holzer Health System and the Gay County Chamber of Commerce. My guest this week from the Area Agency on Aging District 7 is Chamber Board Vice President number 1, Jenni Lewis. Jenni, thanks for coming.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
You and I go back a long, long ways.
We do.
Anybody who is familiar with the Signals,
yes.
the Rio Grande student newspaper, I believe, is the first way we met. And then you and I both had careers. I don't know how to call mine a career, but got to start at Holzer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was in transport. You were in the gift shop when it was a closet.
That's right. And, you know, I actually started my career at Holzer in transport.
Oh, so you were there with Dave and Shirley.
I was.
And
I was 19. I was a sophomore at Rio, and that was my first, official job. So I started in transport as well.
There you go. And actually, one of the most prominent CEOs in Holzer history, Charlie Atkins, another former past president of the chamber, started in transport.
Yes, he did.
And became the CEO. So
that's right.
If you want to launch a career in healthcare,
start in
transport.
Opens lots of doors.
It does. That's a whole nother story about a door opening when I first started in transport. And so the gift shop was only separated from the administration offices by a stairway door. That was the only thing there.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'm working my first Saturday, and I won't say his name, but I'll tell you afterwards who was my comrade in this day. And back then you worked out of the x-ray department by pager on the weekends.
Okay.
So you didn't have a dispatcher, so to speak. If somebody needs you, they paged you. So we're on the second floor, and this buddy of mine says we had to take an empty stretcher to the clinic at the time. So he says, let's just take it down the steps, and from second floor to first floor, and then we'll go around. So here we come, clang banging this stretcher down the staircase, and we get almost to the first floor door, and it opens. And all you can see is from mid forearm to wrist, suit jacket, and a giant hand holding the door open. And we come around the corner, and there's Mr. Atkins holding the door open as we're bringing. And immediately I'm like, I'm fired. I've been here 4 days, and I'm done. And he looks at us, and he has that big smile he had, and he was so personable, and he said, boys, you're not the first ones to try it, and you won't be the last. We appreciate you being here on the weekend.
Aww.
And send us on our way. And I told Mike, I said, you are the worst influence on me ever. But got to keep my job. But you were in the gift shop during the Beanie Baby craze.
I was. Oh, my goodness. That was absolutely crazy. And at the time, we would have folks lined up.
Uh-huh.
We ended up having to kind of rearrange how we handled the sales because it was getting a little crazy. People would sign up, I think, or you would almost do a lottery.
I remember people dropping, breaking scrub in the OR. So at that point, I was in the OR. And they would, if somebody was out of a case and knew that person scrubbed in was into the collecting of them or whatever, and say they got the Princess Di bear.
Oh, exactly. The bears.
They
were
would
big.
come in and scrub somebody out and replace them so they could run down and try to get it.
Well,
it was chaos.
I believe I was still in college at the time. So thankfully my shifts were typically later afternoon or in the evening. But sometimes if I had a change in my school schedule and I needed to fill in for somebody, I would have to come in, and it would be like, okay, you ready to open the door? It was just, and where are those now? They're really not much of anything. But at the time, it was a Beanie Baby craze.
And the way the gift shop has changed now, it's so much stuff and just such beautiful things they have out there. And they take great care of us here at the Chamber when we need gift or to loan us some kind of decoration. Amy and Abby are always really good about that. But you went on from the gift shop.
I did.
And
I stayed at Holzer. I was at Holzer. Right. I started there in 1993 and started there in transport. I believe I was the only girl. I really had a great experience. My mom was a nurse at Holzer for a long time.
East.
Yes.
Yes.
So I kind of grew up at Holzer. So it was really neat to be there as an employee. From transport, I went to the gift shop. And then after the gift shop, I worked in the education department, helping with audiovisual and working in that department some. I believe I kind of did both the gift shop and the education department.
Who was over that department then?
That was Lenny Davis.
Okay.
And I worked with Tim Hackworth, and there were a lot of other individuals in that department. But when I graduated college from Rio Grande in 1996, and I still continued my employment at Holzer. And in 1998, there was a job open up. It wasn't expected to open up. The person that was in the position, I just expected that they would be in the position a long time.
Right.
I believe her husband had a job relocation or something. And so the community relations assistant job opening opened up. And I applied for it and was able to work with our wonderful Mary Ann.
And now she encouraged you, right? From the story I've heard from her, you were maybe unsure, and when she found out you had a degree, was like, get your paperwork in now.
That was it. My mom was actually talking with her about it, and Marianne didn't realize I had a bachelor's degree in communications. She thought I was still in college and working with the gift shop, and she told my mom that the job required a degree, and Mom said, well, she has one. And she was like, have her get her resume on my desk. And so that was the start of a wonderful continued career at Holzer. I am so thankful every single day that I had the opportunity to work right beside Mary Ann. She is still not only a wonderful friend and person in my life, but she's my professional mentor. And that's where it started. I learned so much from her and was able to work with her for a long time. She ended up working more with the foundation, and we had some individuals come in, and then I worked in the marketing department. But starting with Mary Ann, I continued my career at Holzer for many, many years, working in community relations and marketing, and I'm so thankful for my years there. I met so many wonderful people and learned so much.
The people that come and go through Holzer's doors through the years, I would say if you ask a group of 100 people in Gallia County, did you ever work at Holzer? 70% at some point worked at Holzer, whether transport, housekeeping, in the kitchen, even, got a degree and then went on and became a nurse or a nurse aide or whatever. That institution, and I'm not just saying this because they're a sponsor of this program, but that institution has built more solid professional relationships.
Absolutely.
The people that, you and I working together at the chamber is an example. Mary Ann and I didn't even realize we worked together. Then I knew I worked with her. She didn't know she worked with me.
Right.
They're in the same building, but still to this day, like I was out there one day last week picking up some stuff or dropping some stuff off for the awards dinner, and there sits Kathy at the front door.
Oh yes, Kathy.
And we pick up and I knew Kathy's parents through church as a kid and that kind of thing, but I haven't seen Kathy in 5 or 6 years, at least to have conversation, and you have to pry yourself away. I remember going in, working transport at night or on the weekends, and there's nothing going on. And so I would find myself in the operator's office talking to Barb.
Right.
Good
memories.
Yeah, I look back on that time as I had no idea where I was going with a career.
Right.
I went from transport to the OR as a tech, and I was 19 or 20. And when you're that age and it requires 2 and 3 calls a week that you have to take, in the evening, sometimes you have to come in, and it wasn't for a 20-year-old. And I look back and, I still have the connections. Dr. Canday was on the podcast and I talked to him about it. I was one of his assistants when he was doing a lot of operations and just the things you can look back on and the people you met that are still there after, it's been over 20 years now since I was there. But it's a great, it's a building block, even if you don't choose a career. The connections you make through that organization and the people you can come across are very significant. You left there and went to another medical facility. You went to Adena.
I did. I was at Holzer for 14 years, and I will echo everything that you just said, Josh. I am so thankful for my years and time there. I met so many wonderful people, so many lifelong friends. I probably had kind of the same shifts as you had, those evening shifts, those weekend shifts. The same folks worked those shifts. Kathy, I just love Kathy. And when I go in, when I worked at Holzer, when I left there, I was not married, didn't have my son. And so it's nice to go back in and catch up with folks. But yes, I worked at Holzer for 14 years. I worked there until 2007. And then I left there to work at Adena in Chillicothe. Yes, I drove every day from Gallipolis to Chillicothe for 2 years and 2 months.
Wow.
But that again was another wonderful opportunity to, I worked in another medical facility and met more people. And so that was another wonderful opportunity in my career. But I missed home. I really missed home. I met a lot of folks in the Ross County area, and Adena covered different counties than Holzer covered. So I really feel for me in my career, it was really a great opportunity to venture out into other communities and counties and get to know more people. And in hindsight, it's amazing because between Holzer and Adena, they cover all the counties that I now cover with the AAA 7, believe it or not, except for one.
Okay.
But I really missed home, and the opportunity came at the AAA 7. Again, you know this, Josh. Communications degree jobs are hard to find. Public relation jobs are hard to find. When they open up, a lot of people apply for them because they don't come open very often. And so at the Area Agency on Aging District 7, the public relations, community outreach, community relations job just happened to open up. And I thought, what a great opportunity to be able to come back home. And so I applied and I got the job, and I was so excited because I was able to come back home to my community. A community that I missed very much. And so this month I will have been there 12 years. Wow. Yeah. So it's gone by really, really fast.
And we were talking before we started the podcast, you have been active in the chamber in some degree, off and on for, what'd you say?
22 years.
22 years. And we're not letting you go anytime soon. You're the president starting next year.
And I'm only 25, so I don't know
it's rough. And you mentioned your son, Jack, who you know is one of my favorite little guys in all the world.
Thank you, Josh.
He's fantastic. I just love when he's around, and he's always welcome to come to any of the events we put on.
He's super excited about the duck race.
As am I. And I think, actually, if we could have one person go out with Jack and send Maddie with them too, my daughter, I think they would probably be the top duck salespeople.
I think so too.
We'll just get somebody to. I don't want to turn them loose in the park by themselves, having to give change or safety wise. But if we could get somebody to walk around with them, I think that they would be the duck sales.
They'd be the duck ambassadors.
Yes. So, but yeah, he was at our duck race this past year and enjoyed it, and I got a kick out of him. He was right by my side.
He was. He remembered every single word you said.
He's a good kid.
He is. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about AAA 7, the Area Agency on Aging. I have to be honest. You guys are a member. Obviously, you're on our board, but you do so many things that I think some people just don't. Like, you hear that, and you see the stuff that your organization puts out, the resources and things, but I don't think that people completely get the resources that you offer. Sure,
and that's completely understandable, and why I do what I do, because, and I like what you said too, Josh, sometimes I think if we're not in the need of a service, sometimes we don't really pay much attention, and I think sometimes that's the case with us. a lot of folks need our services right now.
Right.
But we try to change that mindset in that, we know you might not need our services right now, but you might later on. You might know somebody who needs our services. You might have a question sometimes and you're just not quite sure where to start. And we're a great place to do that. We have a number of programs, and our whole mission is to try to support folks staying in their home if that's what they want to do.
Okay.
Providing those home and community-based services, providing them with connections to services and programs that can keep them in their home. Home delivered meals, transportation, those types of services that they need to stay at home. One of our biggest programs is the Passport program. That's all caps. It's an acronym. It's a Medicaid waiver program. So there are eligibility requirements for that. Individuals do need to meet a certain nursing home level of care. So they might be in a nursing home, but we're able to provide those services to them in their home that can keep them at home. It might be somebody coming in a few days a week, helping them with some things that they need. Bringing them home delivered meals, helping them with some transportation needs. We really like to promote our resource center, which is where it all really starts. And that's basically our 1-800 number. And if you call and you have a question, maybe a family member is in a situation, or you have some questions about how you can keep them at home or what services are available for them, that's where you start. You call our 1-800 number. We will send you back to our resource center. We have staff back there that's their job. They're resource specialists. They're there to help you, start that conversation with you. It might be just a simple question like, I think mom needs a little bit of help at home. I'm not quite sure, where we can even start or what might be available. We'll start with some questions on the telephone. We might be able to answer your questions or get you some resources over the telephone, or you might want us to do an assessment. And that's the next step. That's where one of our social workers or nurses can go into a lot more detail with you about your situation, about your family member's situation, see if you're eligible for programs, educate you a little bit more about what's out there and available. Right now, we're still doing those over the telephone due to the pandemic. We typically will go into the home to do those, but the pandemic has just kind of turned everybody's world upside down. So we're still doing those over the telephone. After that assessment, if you're eligible for our programs, we go ahead and get you signed up for those programs. If not, you have a lot of knowledge about what resources are out there and available. I know so many individuals go through the phone call with us or an assessment with us and don't even realize what's all out there and available, or don't even know where to start. I know so many individuals are in that position. Sometimes we get those panic calls where someone's in a situation with a loved one, or maybe it's a neighbor or somebody where, this happened and we aren't sure where to go. We aren't sure who can help us. And so that's why we're there. We're there to help you connect with organizations and programs in your community that can assist you and try to help you down that path of keeping you at home if that's what you want to do, and trying to help you understand more about what's out there and available to support you to do that.
So let's say, and the resources are out there. If someone were to, the one thing keeping them from being able to be at home is like the need for a hospital bed. Is that something that your agency can help procure, or is it more the manpower coming in?
Typically, what I tell folks is that everybody's situation is different.
Gotcha.
Folks are going to need, maybe they might need some tangible things, like you just talked about, a hospital bed. Maybe they need somebody to actually come in and help them. So what I tell folks is when you call and do that, have that resource center conversation, maybe have that assessment, that's where it really gets individualized. And our assessor or the individual you're talking to can help you come up with some maybe different plans, or maybe some different scenarios, different resources that might be able to help you. What are your needs? Well, here's what we can do. And if we can't do something specific to what you need to be supported in your home, we are going to try to help you with those resources that can help you do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You talked about COVID and how it's turned everything kind of on its ear. We do the Valentine's Day card drive. This will be our second year, and we just announced it yesterday, where we take Valentine's cards that we collect from the membership in the community out to the nursing facilities.
So great.
And because they haven't seen people
right
in a long time.
You talked about anybody of any age. We provide services to those under the age of 60 who are living with a disability. Okay. So you don't have to be over the age of 60 or a senior
Gotcha.
to call us to find out more about services in your community. We do have a behavioral health resource guide on our website, and our resource specialists also have that information as well. So if somebody is interested in learning more about maybe some mental health services in your area, we can help you learn more about what's out there and available in your community. But anybody can call our resource center, and that's why I encourage everybody to do so. No question is silly.
Right.
If we're not the right organization, we do what we call a warm handoff.
Gotcha.
We will educate you more about, we don't have that particular program, but here's a couple services in your community that might be able to assist you.
Just utilizing your partners.
Exactly. I like what you said there too, Josh. That reminded me of a program that we have that we kind of developed because of the pandemic. We have a telephone reassurance program called Porch Talk. And what that is, when the pandemic first hit, we were all kind of shut down, and there were a lot of folks who already were feeling isolated. And then when the pandemic hit, it was just even more so. And so what the Porch Talk program does is we have one of our social workers call that individual on a weekly basis just to chat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's not any kind of like, we have to talk about this or that, whatever they want to chat about. Maybe they want to chat about, the Super Bowl coming up, or maybe they want to chat about getting their hair done.
Which is a subject I'm sure you're not ready to talk about.
Well, that just,
You're one of the few people that I know in my life that are Steeler fans. So
well, it's in my blood. I can't help it.
I know, and I feel for you. But I told my wife, I said, I've waited 33 years for this, not this weekend, but the following weekend. Don't plan anything.
Right.
Nothing.
I understand.
My sisters called and said, hey, we're taking our mom to birthday dinner on February 13th. I said, congratulations, because I'm not coming.
Yeah, that's right. You've got plans.
And they said, what do you mean you're not coming? And I was like, what time are you at? 3:30. No.
It's an all-day thing.
It's Super Bowl Sunday. And this is before the Bengals were playing in it. I was like, no, I'm good. So they changed it to like 11:30 in the morning so that I can participate and
that's good.
Get back home.
You have your day. You have to get ready for it.
I am so ready.
I'm sure you
ready. But back to the
Porch Talk program, right?
Program, yeah.
We've been doing this now for, I think we started the program like in May of 2020. These past 2 years have just felt like it's like one big day sometimes. So it doesn't seem possible that it's almost 2 years. But now Bonnie, who makes our phone calls, Bonnie Buchanan, has really developed a relationship with these individuals, and they love her to make phone calls, and now it's just kind of picking up where we left off last week kind of thing. And that program is still taking new individuals. Anybody who feels like maybe their loved one might like somebody to just call and chat with them. Yeah. A lot of folks, when they're not seeing folks and not seeing people in their home, are getting lonely. It's wintertime, and
a lot of people that age are used to. I know my grandfather, he was 83 when he passed away, I believe, a few years ago. And every Wednesday evening, he and a group of 8 or 9, 10 people of like ages, 70s, 80s, would go and have dinner at Captain D's.
Oh,
and they were there so much, they took their own dessert.
Oh, how cute.
And Pat, they would always make sure the manager got a slice so they didn't cut them off.
Sweet.
Make them order their dessert there. But between church and things like that, people of that generation have that once a week.
Oh, the coffee
circle.
Groups at McDonald's and whatnot.
I don't know how those folks are making it. Those are the people that I feel for, because they would be there every morning. You can't sit in the lobby at McDonald's now. So maybe they're up the road at Tudor's or wherever. But I see that social interaction as being a major part of, it's what people of that generation do. And I don't know if it was the generations before that too, but I always enjoyed, kind of sitting in on something like that and just listening.
Oh, they love to share stories.
They do.
I love the stories.
The stuff that you can learn as a person our age, listening to someone of that generation, and understanding kind of where Gallia County came from, or wherever those folks are from, is a genuine source of history. And I miss it. with my grandfather, but I still occasionally I'll see some of the folks that he was in that kind of group with, and we'll talk about it if I see them out and about. But it would take away something very important to them to not be able to go out. And it may be not that they're stuck at home, but maybe they're in a position where they can't drive anymore.
Oh, sure. Or maybe they, just meeting somebody new just can change somebody's day.
Absolutely.
Or change their life. And, we've had so much feedback from individuals who have participated in our program and still are about how it's been such a bright spot, in their day or week to have that phone call from Bonnie. This past Christmas, we partnered with a local elementary school, and one of the younger classes drew pictures for them that said, "You are loved."
Oh,
and we
awesome.
sent that as a kind of a Christmas surprise for them. And so they really enjoyed those, shared them on their refrigerator, so just those actions can really make a difference for individuals. So that is a program that we developed coming out of the pandemic, realizing the fact that there are a lot of individuals who are home alone perhaps, and missing seeing people. And so this was our way to kind of address some of that social isolation and just kind of helping folks reconnect and connect with people. And so we're still taking referrals for that. So if anybody's interested, you just call our 1-800 number. It's 1-800-582-7277, and just say you're interested in the Porch Talk program.
And that was my very next question as we get ready to wrap up, how people can get a hold of you and find out the resources offered. So just give that 1-800 number a call.
Sure, yeah, 1-800-582-7277. I'll add very quickly, Josh, we also, for those folks who might not think they're eligible for our programs, please don't let that stop you from calling us. We also have somebody on site who helps with Medicare questions. I know a lot of folks have Medicare questions. It can be very confusing, so we have somebody on site who can help with that. We have wellness classes that we're doing over the telephone right now. Those are free for folks age 60 and over. So there's just a lot of programs that we have. You can hop on our website, AAA7.org, learn more about that. We have a Facebook page. And you can also email us at info at AAA7, that's AAA, the number 7.org.
Jenni, I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Josh.
We've got this year, and then starting fourth Thursday in January of 2023, you take the gavel and
I do.
And start driving this boat.
Well, I started with the chamber in 2000. I had to look back because it's been so long. With the promotions committee, I wasn't on the board. We had some side committees, and I started with the promotions committee in 2000. Became a member of the board in 2003. Took a little break when I worked at Adina, but then I was so happy that they called me to come back on the board, and here I am. So it's been a great ride, and I'm looking forward to the future with the chamber.
Well, we appreciate everything you do. Reminder, if you can hear the Talk of the Town podcast every Sunday morning during the 8 o'clock hour on WJEH FM 93.1. And also every Friday on YouTube. You can check out our link on our Facebook page. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Time with family. Staying active. Doing what you love. We understand how important it is to live your best life, even as times are changing. At Holzer, we strive to help every patient achieve